You know, they saw my mental health decline, you know. People in the military in uniform, they would see me one way, but at home, I was completely different. Not because I had a dual personality or anything like that, but because I had to portray something in the military. I had to guard myself because I had been abused and I was harassed and all this other shit. So I had to, you know, have this look. So when I would come home, what would they see? They would see an angry mom. They would see like pissed off all the time. Like I just, my patience for anything was just, you know, I was super like, clean this, clean that, like very, you know. And it just, I feel like that's one thing that the military took from me, you know. It was like my relationship with my kids, you know, because I had to be very, like, they got the shitty end of the stick from the shit that I was experiencing at work. That's why now I preach to them, no, find something that you like, and I'm here, I'll support you. I'm not gonna fucking do shit for you. I'll support you in whatever endeavor you take, but find something that makes you happy. Because you remember when I was in the military, I think I was at 13 years when I was like, no, I'm fucking getting out, because I had gone to FMTV to train with the Marines, and I was getting harassed by the fucking instructor, which was a second class, and I remember like we were going to the range, and we were all on a bus, and he's like, get out, because I was a platoon fucking sergeant or some shit, and he's like, get out, and I was like, why? He's like, come on, let's go. And I was like, oh, like, I'm pretty street smart, you know what I'm saying? I was like, what the fuck is going on? So the bus was full of us. He made me get out of the bus with him, and we walked to the barracks. The barracks were empty. We were gonna be there. We were gonna stay at the range for like a week or some shit. And we're going at the barracks, and I'm like, what's up? Like, I was taller than him, you know, but I was like walking, you know, like looking back, that's when I started being hyper fucking vigilant, you know. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was looking for ways, like, where the fuck am I gonna run? Like, you know, because I don't know what the fuck is happening. So we go, he takes me inside, and he's like, I want you to have your girls here, pick a side or whatever. And I was like, why didn't we do this earlier, you know? And he's like, sit down. And I was like, what the fuck? So it was a bed right there, and I sit down, like how we're sitting down, you know, but I'm like facing him with my feet like over there to the door, and I'm like, okay. And then he went like that, and I was like, oh shit, bro, when I tell you like that, I fucking ran out of there. And I had like a major panic attack, and I remember calling my husband at the time, and I was like, oh my god, you know, this is happening. He would always take me out of class. My wedding band, he would always be like, no, you don't wear that. And I'm like, I'm a good student, bro. Like, I follow the rules to a certain extent, you know? And I'm kind of naive with some shit, too. So I'd be like, all right, cool, whatever. So then I remember calling my then husband at the time, and I said, hey, you know, this guy, like, you know, he's harassing me. And then his answer was like, well, what are you doing? Report him, or what are you doing? And I said, do you realize that I have 70, I think I was in charge of like 70 something plus guys, girls and kids, you know? And I was like, if I say something now, like, I'm gonna get held back, because if an investigation happens, and I'm like, I'm more over there than, you know, I'm closer to graduate than, you know. I was like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. And then he's like, well, are you doing anything for him to do that? And I'm like, that was his response. I don't think he meant that in a bad way, but I shut down. Like, I was like, oh fuck. And this guy used to, like, when we would have holiday routine, like Sundays, he would like, and he had duty, he would go and like check on us. He knew we were not wearing shit, you know, because we're in the barracks, you know what I mean? And like, just dumb shit like that. Like, his wife came, because he would text me, and I was just like, no, what is it? He would always text me dumb shit about, you know, the sailors. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm just doing my job, you know? His wife came to work. So that shit, like, fucked me up, you know? Like, it was just like, I don't know, because he was doing it, and then the senior chief at that command did it too. A senior chief took over this master chief. A master chief got relieved from that command, and then this senior chief took over. He has like an African name. He took over. That dude harassed one of my sailors. The one that I had like 8 or 7 or whatever girls, and she was gay. He didn't know she was gay, you know. And I'm just like, this guy that was harassing me was Sailor of the Year, was all this shit, like on paper, Navy, and I'm just like, you know, I just remember like at that time I was just like, no, I'm done with this. I want to get the fuck out, you know, because it was taking a toll on my mental health. Like, it was so stressful until I started saying to this guy, Rice, is his name. I was like, Rice, this dude is harassing me, bro. I was like, do you not see? He pulls me all the time. Like, he was the commander and I was just a sergeant. Why is he pulling me and not him? You know what I mean? Like, technically, I'm not the one in charge. The dude is. So I said, can you, again, remember with Greg, what happened? Like, I would tell her, go with me.
Yeah.
I said, Rice, can you just, you know? So we were like attached to the hip and then he backed off, you know? But then, what do people say? Oh, are you and Rice fucking? Sure. You know, because we were always together. But I just never felt comfortable, or I don't know. I didn't know what to do in that moment. Because if I said something about that guy, like, it's going to come back at me, you know, in some way. Or, you know, here he is. I'm a student. I'm in passing, right? I'm a transient. He's at that command. He's Sailor of the Year. He's backed by this senior chief, which is also a fucking dirtbag. You know what I mean? And like, who are they gonna believe at the end of the day? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was like, I've already been in 13 years. Like, I'm not about to ruin my career, you know? So it was like a lot of mental fuckery up here, you know? So I'm like, oh. So talking about that, like, you're just like, oh God. Yeah, like, going through all that stuff was what made me like, I think it made me more of a well-rounded like leader, you know? And I would just have more compassion for people, either getting out or whatever. Yeah, I knew I had a bitch look, but people knew I was gonna help them, you know, because I just never shared that, you know. And I think that Moro, I think, saw me fucking eat it once or whatever a few times, you know, pass out or something, and he would always be scared. But he, like, people never knew like the shit that I was going through, like, internally. And I think that made me stronger, you know what I mean? Getting out and being resilient. Like, I've done whatever the fuck I wanted to do. Like, talking about, I got out in 2016, you know what I mean? And like, I really had a hard time. But I had a hard time because I'm trying to keep segueing to mental health, right, to you, to talk about you. I had a really hard time. I lost my shit. I fucking could not function in society. I could not. And I just didn't know. And I think that that's what sparked me asking God for like, yo, hook it up. What do I need to do? Because it fucked me up so bad. Like, I've hit rock bottom 3 times in my life. You know what I'm saying? And this was one of them, you know, where I was like, what the fuck? Because of what we talked about earlier, how the military doesn't really prepare you. Like, you go into a class, fucking sit there and they're talking either about retirement or whatever. A lot of those people that are talking up there and training are people that got out of the Navy and got right back into doing something that they're not really passionate about. You know what I mean? They're just there to receive.
This is the filler.
Yeah. It is.
Filler
you know,
position.
It is a filler position, and they don't really genuinely care. So I didn't get to finish with the Marines. What I did see with the Marines is when we was there. So mental health. How was it when you got out? Like, were you depressed? Did you deal with PTSD, depression, anxiety?
I got out. I didn't deal with any depression at all. Anxiety though. So I had never, deployments and like with Joint Special Operations in the Philippines and this and that and weaponry and all this stuff. Like, I didn't know what anxiety was. I was like, let's fucking lock and load and let's go.
Yeah.
I think that was another big thing too. Like, I was always with Joint Special Operations, or I was with the Marines, and I was always doing actual missions in the military and stuff. So the collateral duties, like, I was like, what the fuck is a collateral duty? Like, I'm not going to sell hot dogs and shit. You know? I'm not doing no fucking car washes on a Sunday in my PT gear. Like, I was like, that's, you know, I was a different breed there.
Because you said something very, very important though. Special Forces. My ex-husband, the first one, was a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Special Forces have their own little shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's why. You guys move different.
And so when I got out, like, I didn't deal with any depression at all. But anxiety, I didn't know what anxiety was until like, so I had, it was it must have been like 2015, 2016. I was like 2 years out. Yeah. The job wasn't going, I was making good money and stuff.
Yeah.
But the job, I was just like, it was just redundant, and then my father was sick, and then my father ended up passing away, and then so then everything, like the whole family, like because he owned a lot of land in Montana, and so then all this stuff got put on me, and then the whole family got put on me, and all this other stuff. So
yeah,
then,
that's a lot.
and then I was still dealing with trying to get, so I got a big VA thing too after this that we're going to, and so I was trying to deal with the whole VA stuff, and so everything was just like so much, but I couldn't get help. You know, one of the big things for guys is we're guys, we're fucking men, you know, like
suck it the fuck up.
Yeah, like, so I was like, man, like,
you got titties, you got balls. I don't know where that came from. Sorry.
And so, you know, let them hang low, you know?
Yeah, you know, do what you gotta do.
And so that was a big thing for me. I was just like, no, I just fucking, let's just keep going, let's keep going. And then it got so much that I ended up having like a panic attack one time. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I thought I was dying. I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Little bitch.
Like, I was like, who the fuck's this little bitch here? Why are you shaking? I was shaking, and I was like breathing hard and like having this panic attack, and like everything was like spinning, and like I was just like I literally at that moment I was like, I think I'm gonna fucking die. I think I'm gonna die. I'm dying.
God.
You know? And so I was like, what the fuck is this? So when it comes to mental health, like your mind is strong, but it's also fragile.
Oh, very.
You know? You can break very easily, you know? And so then I was like, I just need to talk. And when I was talking with friends and family and everybody else, like I felt so much better because I was holding all this shit in, from deployments to fucking military life to getting out, and then my father passing away, and then don't think that nobody's ever scared of failure, you know, because everybody's scared. I was scared of failure, like because when you start being successful, there's always that fear of regression, you know, and then like, what if I lose everything? What if this? I got a family. What's gonna happen? So you're constantly,
and you're a man,
and you can't let the show and all this other stuff, and so then I was like, I need to talk. Like I just need to fucking talk to somebody. Tried going the VA route. That was all fucked. It was just, I can't even, the VA's fucked, you know, like, and it came down to like, it was like, no, you need meds. Everybody needs meds. Like, to fucking try to push the whole fucking med thing, right? And I was like, no, like, I don't fucking need meds. You know, I just need to talk.
Yeah.
And so I stopped the whole, we'll get into the VA too, but I ended up stopping that whole process.
Of the meds? You ended up
stopping? No, a VA.
The VA altogether?
You'd be like 2 months just talking.
Yeah.
But I had like this constant, it was really strange. I had this weird, like constant anxiety feeling, like constantly anxious.
But like, can you describe like what it was?
The only way I can describe, I can.
Yes.
The only way I can describe it is, say you're speeding and you get pulled over by the cops, and you got that anxiety feeling. You're like, fuck, like, am I gonna get a ticket? That feeling times a million. That's the only way I can feel. I was like constant, like scared. I was constantly scared.
Yeah.
And anxious.
Yeah.
You know, I was like constantly just like this anxious, scared, whatever. And I was like, man, what this? I would go to sleep. And I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have like 3 or 4 minutes of just like calm. You know, just like, oh, yeah, I'm normal again. You know?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I would feel it. You know, and then I'll be like, fuck, like, why do I feel so scared and anxious?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
And so I just kept talking about it with my friends and people who I deployed with, and I would call up.
You never called me.
I'd call it people who I went through shit with, you know? And they would be like, oh yeah, we're dealing with the same stuff, you know, we went to the VA, this, fuck the VA, I'm going to VA, you know? So I just kept talking to all of them, talking to everybody. And then maybe like 2 months into it, because it was every fucking day, I was looking for like supplements, like ashwagandha root, and I was going fucking like, you know,
I never knew how to say that. How do you say that?
Ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha.
Yeah, and I was like working out even more, but when I would work out, I would have like a couple hours of just
Zen.
Oh yeah, I'd be like, fuck yeah, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, that anxiety would come over me again. Like, I don't know, like if you're in high school and you're like, fuck, did I forget to do my homework? That feeling just.
How long did it last, or how long did you go through that?
For like a month and a half, like every day, Monday through fucking Monday, I felt like that, right? I took 3 weeks off of work. Like, I was like, I can't go to work because I was fucking just like, I couldn't think, I was just like, fuck. And
it's very fucking, mental health is very debilitating.
It was really fucking weird too, because, and then one day I remember talking to a buddy and we were like, man, you remember when we went through all this, we were in Mindanao in the Philippines, and we were, there was an Al-Qaeda base down there. We're looking for the MNLF and all this stuff when we were down there, and we had this long talk about it, and then I remember waking up the next morning, and I sat, because I would sit on the edge of my bed and I'd be like, okay, well, I got like 5 minutes of fucking just peace, you know? And I was sitting there, and then 5 minutes came, and then 10 minutes, and then 15, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then like 20.
It just dissipated, like. And
then I remember standing up, and I went into the living room, and I flipped the TV on, and I remember it was like Turner Classic Movies or something like that, and I was like watching this Western, and I watched the whole movie, and then I was like, wait a second, I haven't felt anything. I stood up, and so it was like a couple hours, and I was like, holy fuck, it's gone. Like it just stopped. It just shut off. I don't know. It just stopped. That day I remember waking up, it just stopped.
But you took 3 weeks off of work, and you were, in those 3 weeks, you were putting in some work, right? You were talking to people, you were...
3 weeks off to myself.
Yes.
R&R, working out like crazy, way more than what I did before. Going for like long walks, runs, spending a lot of time with my family.
Yeah.
I even did meditation. And then talking, like getting it out, like get the fuck out, like just, I need to talk about this shit, and just talking, because it wasn't working, me talking to my wife at that time, like talking to, because we talked every day, like I needed to talk to somebody who's gone through it,
that you can, not that you don't, you were not dismissing your wife, anything like that, but I
needed somebody who went through it so I could relate. We have that relationship.
And you have a different type of respect. It's not disrespect to your wife or anything like that, but you have, okay.
And so, and she was absolutely awesome. Like she was like, yeah, you're definitely going through something. So whatever you fucking need, let me know. Yeah. And you can, we'll do anything for what you need to get through this. And so just the constant talking about it, I think that was probably the biggest impact on what it was. And then just taking a step back, because like work was like crazy, because it was just myself. I remember it was just me working on all these research projects, and I think it just got too overwhelming. My whole life just was like, whoa,
well, you had a lot going on, your dad,
and
that stuff,
and that was really tough. And then but then I remember I just woke up that day, and then the kids came home from school, she came home from work, and I was like, I think I'm good. Like,
dang.
Yeah, and then days turned into weeks turned into months turned into years, and I've never had
another one again.
I've never had an anxiety attack, a panic attack since then.
And you didn't go on meds?
Nope, never, not one. That's a lie. I took one time when I went to, I pulled a muscle in my chest, and it hurt so, I thought I was having like a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like it hurt so fucking bad, like the way it happened, and the pain wouldn't go away, and I was like, dude, and it felt like it was burning or something, and I was like, I don't know, like I don't have time to check to see what the things are for fucking heart attacks, and so I went to Temecula Valley, the heart center over here, off Temecula Parkway down there, and I went in, they rushed me in, I remember they rushed me in, they fucking they ripped my shirt off, they cut it off, they fucking put all these EKG leads on me and stuff. And then the doctor was looking at the EKG machine, he was looking at me, he was looking back on the EKG machine, and I was freaking out. I was having like a panic attack right then, because I thought I was fucking dying.
Because he's fucking looking and looking,
And I was like, and I was like freaking out, and he was like looking at the thing, and he kept looking at me, and he looks at me, he goes, stop it. He goes, knock it off. And I was like I looked at him like, what? Knock off having a heart attack? And he's like, stop it. He's like, stop. You're not having a heart attack. You're having a fucking panic attack. He didn't say fucking, but he was like, you're having a panic attack. And I was like, no, like you know, I think I'm having a heart attack. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, you're not. I'm the doctor. I'm the heart guy. You're not. And he just kept pointing at the EKG.
I'm the captain.
Yeah, I'm the captain now. And I was like, okay. And then he was like, well, what are your signs and stuff? And I was like, well, you know, I was working out and this and that. And he was like, okay, well, where's the pain? And I was like, it's like right here. It's pinpointed right here. And he was like, oh, yeah. And then he just walked out. He just walked out. After hearing that, he was like, he walked out.
He's like, I'm done.
And then my troponin levels came back. They did all my bloods and all that stuff. And they were like, you're not having a heart attack. You're having a panic attack. And I was like, well, it happened when I was doing this, when I was working out and this and that. And they were like, well, you probably pulled a muscle. Yeah. And so, okay. So then I was still like, I was still very, you can laugh at me because this is some funny ass shit. And so I was still having a lot of pain, but I was still having like this residual. And this was during the time all this other shit was happening.
Yeah.
So I was still having like the suit. I was like, he was like, well, what do you feel now? I was like, I'm feeling fucking anxious as shit. Like, I'm fucking paranoid. Like, what if I go home and I have a heart attack and I'm gonna fucking sue you? And then the nurse that was taking care of me, he goes, how are you gonna sue me if you're dead? You know? and so I was like,
facts.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there. And then my wife was like, well, can you guys like give him anything, like, you know, a shot or something to get rid of the pain? Or like and so the nurse was like, well, I can give him something to calm him down. And I was like, yeah, I'll take whatever. I was like, I want to be calmed down. I just want this to, you know, this anxiety and all this shit to just disappear right now. And I was like, what if I just don't want to have a heart attack? And he's like, okay. So he comes back and he's got a bottle of 10 pills. I think it's called Klonopin.
Sounds about right.
I don't remember what it's called. I think that's what it was called. Anyway.
It's not Zillow though, right?
It's not Zillow. And he goes, take this. He goes, and in like 10 minutes, you're going to be fine. He's like, it's going to dissolve a little bit on your tongue. It's very, very fast acting. And I was like, okay. I was like, what does it do? He's like, it's going to take all your anxiety away. And I was like, is it going to fuck with my head or anything like that? And he was like, you'll feel good. And I was like, is it like Valium? I was like, because I took Valium when I got my PRK surgery done. When I got my eye surgery done, they were like, you need to take Valium so that you're not fucking crazy in there when we're doing your eye surgery. That shit was a fucking, oh my God. Little thing, and it starts to dissolve in my tongue. I drink it, drink some water and stuff. In like fucking 10 minutes, I was the happiest motherfucker on the planet. All my anxiety was gone. Everything was fucking fixed. But I knew I was happy. Like inside my head, I was like, why the fuck am I so happy? You know, and it almost felt like I was trapped. Like I was trapped in my own mind, like what the fuck are you doing? Why are you laughing? And I'm sitting here like, well, why am I laughing? Like
you're laughing.
And I was fucking like so happy, laughing at everything. And I remember the doc came out and he was like, okay, well, obviously he got his, you know what, and I was like, fuck, like, I was like, doc, I fucking feel amazing right now. He was like, yeah, you will for like the next 6 hours. And I was like, oh yeah, but no shit. It was like they took me and they just kind of like put me away in like a little cell someplace. And they were like, just chill in the corner right there because Happy Side's fucking awesome right now.
You're on timeout.
It was really fucking strange because in my head I was like, I know what's going on, but why the fuck am I so happy? It was really fucking weird. Like something, I literally felt whatever they gave me just went and just like switched. And I was like, this isn't me. This is fake. You know, this is fake as fuck.
For 6 hours though?
Yeah, and I went home. There used to be a Marie Callender's down there. And before they tore it down, I remember I went there and I was like, I want shrimp Alfredo. And I was, you don't eat shrimp Alfredo. Like, what the fuck? And I was like, I want some shrimp Alfredo. So I went down and I was so happy. And I was making jokes and I was laughing at people and fucking. And I remember my wife was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, okay, dude, whatever. Like, and so then I went home. I remember I passed out on the couch. I woke up and the next morning, I got in the car. I didn't wake anybody up. I got in the car. I had the little pill bottle. I went back and I was like, take this the fuck back. I was like, I don't want this shit. This is fucking like jail. Like it.
What do you mean?
It wasn't real.
Oh.
Like
jail's very much real though.
Fake. No, it was like fake. It was like they took me and like stuck me away.
Yeah.
And it was just like, ha 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 ha. It was scary.
Huh.
Those whatever the fuck they gave me, it was scary to me because it switched me like that. like it was fucking.
But you knew in your head.
In my head, I was like, what the fuck? Because I was active in my brain, knowing like, this is, what the fuck chemical induced shit is this? I was conscious enough to know that what kind of chemical bullshit is this?
Yeah. The nerdy side came out.
Oh, fuck, it was weird. So that was the one and only time that because I'm scared of pills. Like, I don't even take Motrin, you know, I don't take Tylenol. I have to be really fucking like, to take something, I gotta take, you know, and so.
Is that the native in you or what?
I don't know.
Just how you grew up or what?
I don't know, like one little 200 milligram Motrin like fucking makes me feel absolutely amazing, you know? So I'm so like, my tolerance level for medicine is like so fucking low.
Yeah.
And the same thing with like alcohol, because I don't drink, you know, like every now and then I'll have a beer, and if I have one beer, I'm tipsy, I'm good.
Cheap date, ladies.
Yeah,
cheap
like,
dates.
Yeah. So as far as like so yes, anxiety and stuff, and if anybody has, you know, PTSD issues, anxiety, depression, my biggest takeaway from it is talking, getting it out.
Yeah.
Just like, and get it out with somebody who's going to actually because I've talked to people who were just there to listen, and I'm like, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you understand? And they're like, oh, not really, but I'm here to talk to you. The biggest thing for me was having somebody there that actually went through it, you know, and they were like, oh yeah, how do you feel about this, and this? And I'm like, oh, I feel that way too. Did
you see people die or something? What do you think out of those experiences? I mean, if you want to share, but obviously.
I don't think
I don't
think any of that had that. I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, I think what it was for me, because all of that stuff, like that, really, I did get cold. I did become very cold from all that shit, all that experience and everything. I did get very cold and a little prejudice against certain like Middle Eastern, you know, individuals and stuff, like when I was in groups. I can't be. One thing though is like I can't be in like large crowds. I can't fucking do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't be in large crowds just because. And then when I like go into one thing that still sticks with me is like when I go into a restaurant or anywhere to eat, I have to sit facing the fucking door. Mm-hmm. Like I have to sit so I can see the exits or whoever comes in. You know, that's just like. And then I go in, and whenever I go into some place, I'll be like, I'll look around. I'll be like, okay, okay, that's how you get to the back. That's how, you know, like just escape routes. Like,
yeah,
that's just me. But that stuff is, I don't think that I never really had any issues with that at all. Like coming back, like helicopter noises and stuff would mess with me, but that was all gone. Driving was a little tough at first. Especially seeing like garbage on the side of the road or something like that, you know, that was a little tough, but I don't have any issues other than that. But all of the other stuff that was like compounding and just kept going, it felt like a nuclear, like everything was just coming so much. And then my father, I think what caused the big was my father just, you know, it was very fast too, because he ended up finding out he had stomach and pancreatic cancer, and they were like, dude, you got like a month, you know. Yeah. And I was like, what? Yeah. And so then I flew in because I was on a research gig at back in Chicago at Great Lakes. We were doing a lot of testing with other recruits and stuff like that. And I had went out there, and then my dad called me. He's like, hey, like this happened. He's like, you need to get home. So I flew back to Montana. So I called the company. I was like, hey, I need a new flight. Fly me to Montana. And so we flew back home, and then I was there with him for like a couple weeks, or about a week. And then I was like, hey, I got to get back to work. I got some stuff to do, but I'll be right back. Let me go finish. Let me lock this up, and I'll come back. And so I hugged him, kissed him on the forehead, and then hopped on a flight, left. And the very next day, my brother called me. He's like, hey, he passed away. And I was like, what? Yeah. You know? And so, and then obviously like, I held it all together until like we buried him. Once he was going to the ground, and that's when it like everything started kicking off. And then I was at work, and I was like, fuck this, and then it all that stuff happened. But having somebody there to talk to, having an organization such as the VA or you know, because it's a lot better than what it used to be. You know?
It is. It has gotten way better.
Is paramount. Like talking, you know. One big thing that I mean, one of my big things though is try everything. Try everything. What the what?
I was too serious.
Yo, you got me with that one. What?
Well, you're just going on this thing, right? Try everything.
As far as getting your mental health back, okay? Well, I mean, that might help too. But try everything before, like, the chemicals and all that shit. Like, try as much as you can. And,
well, you're living proof.
You know, and like, yeah, because I didn't want. So being a scientist, I know serotonin levels and everything else that has to deal with your chemicals, chemical imbalances. To an extent, I'm not saying I'm a neurologist or anything like that, but I did a massive deep dive that whole month that was going on.
Yeah.
I was going down fucking rabbit holes, renting library books, chemical books, neurological books, MRIs, going through everything to see what SSRIs do to your brain, what, you know, the long-term effects and everything. And I was like, fuck this, no.
What are some of the long-term effects for the research that you conducted?
So you can burn out. You know, you can dip your levels. You can be so chemically dependent on that pill that over time you have to take more and more and more and more, right?
Yeah.
And then you can be so chemically dependent on it that if coming off of it is
fucking horrible.
Yes.
I know, I was on it and I tried to kill myself.
So when people you absolutely cannot, not 100%, but like 99%, you can't fucking go cold turkey off that shit.
You can't.
Because if you do, then the whole suicides, the fucking everything, the depression is a millionfold.
Oh
like,
my God, yes.
It's crazy because then you have to take pills to jumpstart everything else.
Yes.
You know? And so you get into this cycle of fucking just chemical induction in your brain constantly. And I wasn't about to go down that road. I was like, there's gotta be a fucking another way. There's gotta be a way. So that's when I started researching like ashwagandha root and fucking all this other stuff. And
do you take it now? Ashwagandha root?
No, I tried it. It didn't do anything for me. I was like, fuck. I was like, okay, let me check my magnesium levels. Let me check my fucking.
How did you
my
check
vitamin
that?
D? Huh?
How did you check your magnesium?
I'd go into the lab, like LabCorp and stuff like that, and I'd say, hey, I want my vitamin D3 levels checked. I want my testosterone levels checked. I want my estrogen, estradiol checked. I want my, all this stuff. I want all these different anything that had to do with neurologics.
Yeah.
I would have tested, and so then I would up my vitamin D3, or my vitamin D to get my D3 levels up, testosterone levels up, just everything. Anything that would enhance mood. Dark chocolates, anything, coffee, like caffeine, not caffeine anhydrous, but like actual like green teas.
Yes.
Arabica beans, just like actual, not like energy drinks or anything like that. And so because the last thing I wanted was to be on like this constant cycle of fucking with my brain and stuff, because you can chemically affect everything in your body. You can take medicine to fix anything, but one thing I didn't want to fuck with was my brain. That's the one thing I didn't want to mess with, because obviously we use it every day, and in certain, I just didn't want to.
I mean, I'm still alive and look at me.
No,
I'm a med.
I just didn't want to.
That's great.
I didn't want to have that fight though,
Yeah, it's a fight.
Because the other reason why is because I took that one that nurse and that doctor gave me, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I was still there to like, this is not right. This is, what the fuck is this? But on the outside I was like, this is a fucking party. Like, oh my God, life's amazing. But in the back I was like, whoa, this is kind of scary that this little fucking 5 milligram pill that they just gave me just fucked with me like that. And I was like, nope. And, and there's some, obviously, there's some individuals that no matter how much talking it is, you're, get your levels checked too. Like, cause if they're so low, no amount of talking is going to fix them. Some people do need that chemical
but there was research done, that they didn't see no correlation with fucking SSRIs and like having to deal with fixing a chemical imbalance.
Right.
Depression. They did that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, and that fucked with me because when I read it, I was like, wait a minute, like I've been on it, you know. So I've been on medication ever since I got out because I lost my shit in 2016.
Yeah.
Lost it, was fucking fucked up from it. But they put me on so many. I'm a bitch with meds too. I really am. I don't take a lot of stuff. So when the doctor gave me something, I got in so many car accidents. I did all that because I was on meds and I didn't know that.
Right.
You know, and I had to function. So with me though, I was like, well, maybe I don't need this, and I tried to stop it, bro. I went fucking down, and I'm like, and then I read this research, and I'm like, well, I don't understand because I feel like my brain it needs it to like it does do something to me. So what like I'm not saying you're a fucking doctor, right? But the talking definitely does help. I go to group therapy and that has helped me, and having other women, I never had a lot of women friends, so having a lot of women share their stories with me, I'm like, oh shit, I feel like that too. It's helping me not be so cold because I got cold too, you know. But like I don't want to be on meds, so I never like meds.
You know what?
I don't want to be on meds. So.
You know we have cannabinoid receptors in our brains?
Cannabis? No.
So cannabis, right?
Yes.
So there's cannabinoid receptors in our brains that they found, and it's kind of strange. Like, why would we have cannabinoid receptors in our brains if not a long time ago down the path, you know, ancestral, that we were consuming cannabis and or smoking cannabis or whatever, inhaling it as we burned it on the fire or whatever.
Yeah.
So we have receptors in our brains. Yeah, and so along that research, I discovered that, and I was like, I wonder, because obviously I'm government, so I can't fucking go
I know, I
blaze
can't
up
do that.
and shit like that. Go down and get CBD water at the fucking grocery store, you know?
You can?
Yes.
I've never seen that.
Yes. They sell CBD oils, they sell CBD everything.
Okay. So these cannabis receptors, so that's why I know a lot of vets that do weed, you know, like, and then they feel, do you think that is because of these?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a super calming effect too, you know?
So if it's, where did you find that cannabis receptors that we have?
Cannabinoid receptors?
Cannabinoid.
Yeah.
I put cannabis. Cannabinoid.
Yeah, just all my research, like that. I would rent tons and tons of books from the Myria library and stuff like that, and like just start researching everything, going down rabbit holes on YouTube. Like I went deep with this stuff. I became a neurologist. You know? Yeah. Because that's just the way my mind is, though. I just constantly have to research something until I understand everything, you know?
Yeah.
So.
How are we friends? You're like, bitch, I don't know.
I just came to do a podcast. You're paying me $50. That's all I know.
Yeah, right. See, Savage is like,
yeah, Savage is like
a lot.
And then I want to get into nootropics.
What the fuck is that?
Like phenobutes and neurotropics that help out the brain. And help to stimulate cognitive abilities and mind enhancement and stuff like that to make people, to help rejuvenate the mind and to make people smarter and stuff. Like, you remember that movie,
Limitless?
Limitless. Yeah, that's where I
like that type of shit?
Yeah.
Damn, I wouldn't mind being a test dummy for that. Because I'm already fucked up, you know? I'm already on this spectrum over here. I mean, it can do no harm.
I like, so my big thing is I love learning, and I learn about everything. Like if it piques my interest, I'll fucking dive into it. And I get too deep into things. Like if it's all right, how does your cognitive ability affect whatever? And I'm like, okay, let me figure this out. Fucking month later, I'm like, God, I could be a fucking doctor in this, you know, shit. Like I get so fucking
you're
into
nerd
it.
out.
I nerd myself out into this stuff, and so that's where I want to finally go is mind enhancement.
Mind enhancement.
Mm-hmm.
How far when are you gonna start? I want to know. Like,
I don't know. I've got so many things. Like right now I'm learning about quantum theories and stuff like that. So I kind of like put that on the back burner.
What the fuck are you learning about quantum theory? You're a very
It's like
interesting person.
space-time, quantum, like time's linear, and I want to see how like wormholes work and quantum physics and quantum theory and string theory and stuff like that.
What does your one day look like for you? Like from when you wake up to fucking going to sleep?
All right, so.
Because people are always, you know, like, this is what I'm doing too. I'm getting us regular folk. You know what I'm saying? Talking about. I don't want no fucking big baller money person telling me, oh, this is my routine. Fuck you. You got a lot of money. You do too, but what do you do?
So right now I'm on this quantum kick, right? Like, and the way, so back in the day, there used to be a TV show called Quantum Leap. I don't know if you remember that. It was back in the 90s and whatnot. And I watched.
Still in Mexico.
It's on Telemundo. And so.
Univision.
And so I watched an episode and I was like, oh man, that's so crazy. I wondered how this would actually, like, you know, if this actually would ever actually work. So then I started watching a lot of Neil deGrasse Tyson stuff and like Elon Musk stuff, and then I started reading quantum books, theoretical physics. I just got into like this kick, and I'm like, man, this is possible, you know, given the right amount of like energy, but you need like the energy of the sun to go ahead and work these out and stuff. So so when I wake up in the morning, I don't know, I wake up in the morning, I always have a cup of black coffee, right? And then I'll sit down at my computer, and I'll, like, whatever kick I'm on at that time, like right now, I'll hop on, you know, the quantum physics website, or I'll hop on a little YouTube and I'll type in Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know, string theory, and I'll fucking watch a little something, and I'll head to work. And then at work, I got this huge fucking whiteboard that's literally, it's bigger than your TV. It's this huge whiteboard, and it's just got fucking ideas on it. Like, I'll have just ideas, like everything, like trying, I don't know, like just to solve stuff, you know, like, oh, I wonder how easy it would be, like, if we implemented this situation into this theory. And I'd write all this stuff down, and then it just stays up there. And every now and then I'll like cross one off, be like, that's dumb, and I'll erase it. But it's just fucking like random shit, and I'll just
fucking Einstein status over here.
And so I'll sit there. Obviously, I've got my job, and I've got to do everything on a daily basis. But once I handle all my infection control stuff or whatever I'm working on, obviously I've got time, you know. So I'll look up at my whiteboard and I'll be like, oh yeah, let's check that out. And I've got these notepads and stuff, and I'll just fucking start writing stuff down, and then I'll start researching that, and then I'll go to meetings. I got meetings all day with like county and state and everything like that. But on my off time, I just think about things like how to solve stuff. You know?
Are you happy?
Well, yeah. I don't have a time to be sad.
It's not the fucking question, smartass.
Am I happy? Am I happy in what aspect?
Do you have joy in your life?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
You seem so happy. Like, you seem... I
am. Like, I mean, in my off time...
As you keep, like, this bitch is crazy. You keep going like this. She's like, she keeps scooting in.
So, like, my off time,
yeah.
Right? My off time is I play a lot of softball, coach the kids, flag football. I'm constantly in sports, working out, business. My mind doesn't shut off, though. That's one thing that I've realized in the last probably like 4 or 5 years. Like, my mind fucking does not shut off. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll be like, oh man, that's a pretty fucking good idea, you know? and then I'll just fucking write it down, and because I got this little blue notebook, and I'll just write down whatever, and then I'll fucking go back to sleep. Like, it's just constantly going.
Yeah.
Like, it's just constantly going. And sometimes I'll be sitting here talking to people. It's happened 3 times today already, but I'll be talking to, you know, certain people, and I'll just kind of like be thinking about like trying to solve something, like, oh yeah, I remember I have to do that on Tuesday. I got to make sure I get that done, you know? But it's like, I don't know, it's just weird. My mind doesn't stop. It just keeps going and going.
But it doesn't wear you out though, right?
No.
That's good, because that's why I asked you if you're happy and like positivity and like joy.
I am so I am so positive all the fucking time. I am a glass half full person all the fucking time. Like, it's, some people be like, oh man, I didn't do well on this. I'm like, yeah, but at least you didn't die. Like, you fucking did awesome. I saw this, this, and this that you did absolutely exceptional, and let's work on those, and let's expand on those, and and at the same as you're getting better with those, we can bring these little speed bumps that you had. Let's bring those up.
The catapult mentality, like that's a thing for me. I was trying to tell you about that. You get all these like setbacks. Cool. I don't see them as like hella bad or nothing. Eventually, motherfucker, all these little setbacks are gonna add up, and then you're gonna get sent way farther than these little setbacks had set you back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's important. So I think, okay. Well, do you have anything else? I think this was a very good conversation. We talked a lot.
We talked a long time.